Oh, okay. So I'll just repeat myself for the recording just in case. We would like to group think. So basically, everyone collaborate no matter what background you're at, whether or not you are familiar with marine specimens or not, whether you are familiar with specimens altogether. Um, we want to be able to share our resources. We wanted to create this digital platform so that it's accessible. But even with access, we need to figure out what to do with it, right? So I am Afiq Durrani. I am from University Malaysia Terengganu 2, where MAQIVE is basically based at. MAQIVE, as we have introduced earlier, is a digital platform for our repository and apa, resource center. Ooh, I think I messed that up. But RRC. So um, for me, I am a microbiologist. I don't have anything yet in RRC. So therefore, I don't have much, or I don't even have like stored specimens in RRC. The reason is microbes is a bit more difficult to preserve, and it's a shame. But I am also interested in the relationship between bacteria and their host. So their host, we get to store them as marine specimens lah. So what you have seen so far with with the worms, with sea fans, with corals, with sea urchins, all that. Each of those animals, when they were living, they had bacteria on it. So it's important when I want to study bacteria, I also have to study what the host looks like and how the host has changed over time. So this is why I am also particularly quite interested with having a digital platform and having it to grow so that we can also store some genetic or database at some point later on in the future. But for now, we need to use what we have. We need to learn how to share. And this is the whole point of today's session with me. So what can we actually do with the digital marine specimens? So I am also part of SOA My Ocean Hope, which is um, the youth-led team that is basically starting to use these marine specimens as a way for ocean literacy. So as a way to get people connected, they have done a few of the videos that you have seen in during the break. I hope you saw them. If not, we'll give you the link later on. So, alamak, tak boleh gerak. Okay. What we're going to do today is very simple. It's going to be a quick 1 hour and a half. I hope it's going to be quick because when we have fun, we're going to be a lot quicker than that. Time will pass a lot quicker. So I'll give you a bit of introduction on ocean literacy and also ocean decade. So why and how does MAQIVE fit into ocean decade as well as ocean literacy? I'm going to give a few of our primary goals, whether it's the global ocean decade direction, as well as the local MAQIVE direction. So we would like to provide access to our local specimens. We want to think globally with what we can do locally. We're going to give a few of the examples that I've seen so far that really piqued my interest. Oh shit, sorry. Okay, my laptop just started to do things. Okay, and then we're gonna have a bit of a warm up session, but it's not like we have to physically move around. It's just warm up that you get onto your computer and start to do something. And then I would like some feedback sessions during the interactive session. So please feel free to use your mic. I think before this, they mentioned only use the chat box while you are talking, while the speaker is talking. But please, for my session, it is much better if we can have a conversation by voice or video. To turn on your video if you want to, and then we will have a bit of a networking break because I think I am interested in seeing who is actually here. I hope it's, I mean, I think most of it is students because uh, the way the marketing was attractive to quite a lot of younger minds, and then some personal emails sent out to colleagues and collaborators, some that I know personally and some I don't yet. So hopefully we can get talking, so we get to bridge a few different gaps on how we can actually use MAQIVE to move forward. So currently, the state of the ocean is not something we could be too proud of. There's a lot of um, things that we can celebrate, but there's a lot of things that are wrong. So previously, with what we've learned with the climate movement is when we use doom and gloom, it's a bit depressing to talk about the future of climate and the future of the earth and all that. Essentially, the climate and the ocean is very, very closely related. Therefore, the doom and gloom applies in the ocean too. But because we want it to move in a positive note, we want to move the state of the ocean to something more positive and something better. Um, we are trying to highlight our treasures. So, what in particular are we risking to lose in the future if we do not take actions today? So some things are changing gradually, some things are changing drastically. Certain ecosystems have the potential to be wiped out. For example, deep sea mining is now allowed, and some countries are going in. We don't know yet what we are going to lose down there because we haven't finished cataloging it there. But we don't even have to go far out into the deep to have this problem. In Malaysia itself, we haven't finished cataloging everything that we have. We haven't finished discovering treasures of the oceans that are closer to home. We don't even have to go far out into the open sea. Even in our coastal areas, we do not know everything yet. This could be based on your specialty. This could be based on accessibility to communication. So this is where we want to have, we want to create that platform. We have a library, essentially a digital library, but libraries can be boring. So sometimes we take the stories from the library and we present it to you in a different way. Or you can take the stories if you are a content creator, if you are interested in making content that are more positive or more ocean related. This is a huge resource for you. I can't remember how many digital samples that we have so far. I think it was thousands already, right? That we've put in that the RRC team has already cataloged, um, and more to come on a digital platform. So these are something you may use as content to talk about. But of course, you need the knowledge. You need to do a bit of understanding. So in order for us to basically get everyone up to date with, or get everyone on the same platform with how rich Malaysian Ocean is, or the South China Sea is, how rich the coastal area is, how rich the deep sea is. So we want everyone to start opening their eyes, to start looking into our possibility of the diversity here. We are a biodiversity hotspot. Why Malaysia um, is essentially one of the best places to live in is how diverse our community is. And we're not just talking about the human population. We're not just talking about diversity in human, in race, in religion, in food. We are also talking about the diversity in our nature, in the forests, and in the sea. So this is where we need to identify who we are as a country, who we are locally. We need to, that this is where the first point is to identify your knowledge and how or what is it going to take in order for us to start being um, sustainable. so that we don't use up too much to the point that we lose it. We don't, disturb too much of the environment that we start to lose it. Of course, growth and development requires some disturbance, but we don't have to disturb everything to the point of losing our own treasures. So there's knowing who we are, and then there's generating that knowledge. This is where I would like to show you what has been done, and I would like for you to come up with ideas with us together on what we can do on a national level, on a regional level, and then make sure the empowerment of that knowledge is actually used. So right now, the team has made a long-term effort to preserve samples, and now we have acquired new funding to make it digital, to make it accessible. It's high time that we start to use it. So it's not just the scientists that's going to use it. It's not just people who are familiar with taxonomy who are going to use it. Anyone could use it. Everyone should use it. So as part of the ocean decade, which is our focus to shift away from the ocean we have to the ocean that we actually want. So in order for us to move from the ocean that we have to the ocean we want, we need to know the science, we need to know facts of the few challenges in the ocean decade. Challenge 9 and 10 is where we are highlighting on. Challenge 9 is about comprehensive capacity development and equitable access to data, information, knowledge, and technology. So right now, only those that are trained in taxonomy can actually benefit from having a digital archive, or from having an archive, from having a repository. However, when we start to share the access, we would like for new types of talents to be developed. So this is where the capacity development is coming. We would like a different way of information to be given. As you can see, most of us biologists were pretty bad at storytelling. We're pretty bad at trying to communicate what wonders of the ocean that we have. This is why things fall off. Things don't necessarily reach the right people all the time. This is why we need storytellers to come on board. This is why we need investors to come on board. This is where we need journalists to come on board and report and say, okay, this is what we tend to lose if we keep going at it. Or this is right under our nose. Why isn't anyone looking at it? Because this is a very, very cool thing, or it's a very life-changing thing. So capacity development in that sense is building up that skill set to actually translate the communication out. And in order for you to communicate, you need the data, you need the information, you need the knowledge, you need the technology. Data, information, knowledge, technology is what we are providing from MAQIVE. At least for now, it's a small startup, and maybe it's a bit rigid, but together we can start to develop it to the point where it is even better or easier to use, easier to access. With more demand, we will open up more avenues for it. So the challenge 10 for Ocean Decade is to have multiple values and services for well-being, culture, and sustainable development. So, so that it is widely understood and barriers to behavior changes can be identified. So what are these barriers? Whoa. What are the barriers? We tend to not care. Malaysians, we go to the beach. We love the beach. We tend to not care about it. We leave trash. We don't really care about the shells. Sometimes we collect and bring it home without knowing what the impacts could be. We would buy shells, or we would buy whatever we see on the side of the beach, and we don't know how that could actually affect nature, how it affects the future. So we don't mind enjoying it today, but we're not taking care of it for tomorrow. So that is the big barrier, or the big change in behavior that Malaysia needs to go through, or we need to identify how we can do it together. And then well-being culture. This is our natural history is basically a part of our culture. Um, we a lot of stories on the ocean, a lot of stories that has been passed from generation to generations involve the culture, involve the ocean, involve utilizing fish, involve processing food from the sea, or involve looking at identifiers or indicators to tell if the sea is safe to go or if it's not a good time to go, and so on. How we interact with the ocean is part of our culture, and that is slowly uh, we're slowly losing it, and we are slowly moving away from it, which to me is a big loss for us. We are losing a big part of our identity and our culture if we start to move away from that. So in order for us to understand it, um, and in order for us to achieve Ocean Decade, ocean literacy is the branding name or the strategy for it, is to basically, it sounds a bit harsh. It does sound like ocean literacy means people who don't have it are illiterate, but no, we just want to make sure the information is at the tip of everyone's tongue, at the tip of everyone's fingers. So literacy towards the ocean, initially they wanted to do it just for the formal education, meaning you would learn it in schools, but this is not the best way. I would say, or a lot of us agree. Formal education shouldn't be the only way um, the importance of the ocean comes across. This is why we have science centers. This is why we have aquaria, for example. This is why we have um, museums. This is why we have infrastructures that actually capture a lot of educational content without it being in a classroom. So why it's to have people who maybe don't have access to the best schools or the best teachers, or people that don't have access to the environment, to the forest or to the sea. We want them to also be able to have the same level of education. And so by having a digital platform, it improves our inclusivity, our accessibility, um, and the knowledge we want is to ensure everyone is happy, everyone is surviving, and everyone knows what is best for them. And also just to provide a more immersive storytelling experience. So sometimes just talking on a screen like this, you would be in and out, you would be losing your concentration. Um, and a better narrative would be an effective way to communicate that. And that's why when we provide a digital archive like this, and you can have a look at the samples with high def pictures, you can see this one has like 5 small teeth and 10 bigger teeth. You get to tell a different side of the story. Okay, so when we look at something closer, there's always more to tell, basically. My screen is, I can't see it. Okay. So of the primary goals that we want, bridging ocean literacy and MAQIVE together, it's understanding or identifying what are the knowledge we need in order to be sustainable. The second is, how do we build the capacity? So you are essentially the capacity. Even if you have no background in marine biology, or even if you do have a background in marine biology, but you're not interested in taxonomy, um, there is still a way to use it. I'm definitely one of them. I am not my background is not marine biology. My background is biotechnology. Somehow I got roped into marine biology um, throughout my career, throughout my postgraduate studies. And when I tried taxonomy, I found it very, very challenging. Like my brain and my eyes were not made for counting how many feet this thing has, how many teeth, how many eyes, and all that in order to categorize it. I see a fish, it's a fish. I go to the market, I see a fish. I can sort of tell which one I like by the taste, but I can never remember what it looks like. So that's me. But there's still more. This is why the platform is important and useful, because this captures what knowledge that you cannot store in your head. the knowledge is stored on a platform. Like you don't know all the knowledge in the world, but you have Google for it. You don't know all the knowledge about diversity, but you have MAQIVE for it. So, and then the third point is to increase the use of ocean knowledge and understanding, um, and capacity development to contribute to the sustainable development solutions. So we all know about SDGs. I'm sure everyone working here in the participant list, you all have a SDG to cater to. How is it that you can bridge it with life below water, SDG 14? It's not necessarily, for example, when we talk to one of the ministries of education, for example, of the people from the Ministry of Education, they were saying, oh, we can't develop something for ocean literacy or to target SDG 14, life below water, because not all schools are located by the sea. That is the most common perception, that you don't need to care about the ocean if you don't see it, if it's not visibly there for you, there's no need to care for it. And this is where ocean literacy needs to um, come in full force, because the ocean, whether you live right next to it or not, is directly um, affecting you, is directly connected to you, from the air you breathe, from the food, from the medicine, from your mental health and well-being, to going on not just going on a holiday, but um, a lot of life revolves around the connection to nature, and the ocean is the biggest part of our nature. So this is where this is where we want more people to come in. Don't think that, oh, I don't have anything to do with the ocean. You should not be worrying about this. um, this is where you try to dig more information. We will try to give you access to more information and more accessibility, right? Okay, so enough about boring talk. I'll start with our with some social media. So one of the most, I finally found it after so the greatest thing about the algorithm is it will send you stuff, right? I got sent like the Odd Animal Specimens account at some point, and they had this one video where it was um uh, a race against time to try to figure out what skull this is from. I'll show you in a bit on the page, and it is one of the most interesting ways of getting me into taxonomy. Like someone who is die, I don't want to do anything with taxonomy. Um, Now I'm hooked onto it. This is the power of social media. This is the power of accessibility to proper knowledge, to real knowledge, and not just melalut pasal this or that, this product or that product. This is about learning things in nature without actually having to use a real life animal or real life um, being. So this is what we have in the repository center, and this is what we can use. I'll try to show you this video first. I hope it plays. You're seeing my screen, right? Oh, sorry. This is not that link. This is the SOA link, which I we are trying to. I mean, I am trying to also encourage the team members in SOA to start using um, information they can gather, and this is what they came up with. I'm sure you saw it in the at in between the break just now. So I'll share you that link later on. But I wanted to show this page, actually, the odd animal specimens, which is should be this. No, give me a second. Boomer things. Ah, it is open. Okay, so this is what the page looks like. Are you guys still with me? Yes. Okay. Yeah. This is, I guess, from one person, not even like a team. but he works in a natural history museum, I assume. And one of the most, yeah, this is the series that I was talking about, a speed run. We can have a look at it. It's very quick. You tell me. Nope. Oh no. Okay. Dia login ke? Memang lah. Uh, 2 seconds, yeah. Sorry. Just now I think I was opening it without having to log in. But that's fine too. Okay. Speedrun number 18. This series for fun. Ooh. So similar to that, there's also another series with, let's see, for example, something more related to us would be a seahorse, probably. So so seamless, I would say, how they use samples like that to create content, to create um, interesting videos that pulls viewers in. Um, I would also like to show, what else I want to show? So that was from the Odd Animal Specimens. You can have a follow if you have Instagram. Please try them out. And I think something more local would be Just Keep Thinking Singapore. Sorry. That is definitely an account that also tries to utilize information or facts and that scientific information and try to make it more accessible. And then there's this one of my also favorites is Carnegie Museum, Natural History Museum. So what's sad about it is, as in, no, that's not what's sad. What's sad about it is in Malaysia, we don't really have a natural history museum, whereas other countries, they would have it, and it would be multiple layers and multiple levels of like one section for just geology, one section for just marine, one section for terrestrial. In Japan, they have like a space or engineering section too. Um, it's nice that they are very uh, it's a center that they pull everything together, and then it gives you a sense of, again, like I said, the national identity, which is what we are lacking. We don't really know what we have. We don't really know or care about what we have, and that's a big loss. So I'm gonna try to share you my screen again. Um, and this is Tim Pierce, a guy from Carnegie Natural History Museum, where he's very old, and you would think an old taxonomist would be very boring, but he does like really stupid dad jokes that pull you in. And I get excited every time he started because they have a few people, a few of their hosts. I'm not really interested in the other hosts, but when it's Tim Pierce, I'm like, okay, I'm invested. So this is again utilizing Natural History Museum, and you don't have to be like the stereotypical influencer type. You could be like this guy, and you'll be making a lot of impact, a lot of reach on your information. So I'll just play it for you now. Oh, shoot.
Doctor,
Yeah. Sorry?
we can hear the sound. There's no sound.
Ah, you cannot hear the sound.
No.
Oh, okay. Let me.
Did you share sound when you share the screen?
So the first video, so you didn't hear the sound.
No.
Oh no. Okay. When I share screen, isn't it automatically sharing the sound?
When you share the screen, there's a tiny box that says share sound.
Tiny box that share.
You have to stop sharing.
Oh my God. Okay.
Got it?
Got it. Thank you. Dah lama tak pakai internet. Not internet. Apa platform again? Zoom also. Okay. I guess, okay, we'll just go with this one and then I'll try to show you the previous video again, maybe, just to prove a point that it is very interesting. That's the point. Okay, wait.
They're held together by these gorgeous little delicate ribs. Lentil traps are ectoparasites on sea anemones and sea cucumbers, things like that, with soft bodies. Ectoparasite means that they're on the outside. And so this snail would crawl up to a sea anemone and start sucking on it. Yum, yum. There are actually some land snails that do have beautiful, delicate ribs, kind of like this, not quite as beautiful. And I do particularly like those. One of them is a tiny, very tiny snail in the family Diplomatinidae, and they have ribs. And somebody actually proposed that one of the species grows a rib a day. That's pretty fast. Now, I doubt that this precious lentil trap is growing a rib a day. They have like 10 ribs per turn. If this one were growing 10 ribs per turn, I think that if it grew one every day, in less than half a year, it would be taller than I am. That's pretty amazing. Here's a fun snail joke for you. I asked one of my snail friends, one of my snail colleagues, what his wife does for a living. And he said, oh, that's hard to say. And I said, what do you mean? Give it a try. And he said, okay, she sells seashells by the seashore. It's hard to say. I'm Tim Pierce at Carnegie Museum of Natural History.
So that is an example of that, Carnegie Natural History Museum. What I'm also trying to say is that the digital archive could provide you some access to this, or at least some access to like materials that you could use, for example, in any way, whether it's like this guy Tim Pierce or it's the guy from before. Hold on, let me try to find it again. About animals. Okay. Oh man, so the speed round you all just missed. Never mind, we'll do another speed round here. Okay.
Skull identification speedrun. Ready, set, go. Pick up the tag. Species name is covered up. I think it's a fish. To check, we count the number of bones in the skull. One on the top, one on the bottom. A few teeth in there, but not enough to be a fish. Instead, take a look at the lower jaw. See how it's made of one strong bone? That means that this is a mammal. Bring back that upper jaw, tilt it back. You see those teeth? They're nice and flat. That means that this thing doesn't eat meat. So it can't be a lion, a hyena, or a bear, anything like that. Instead, take a look at this big juicer premaxilla collarbone. It's super elongated and tilted down. That's a trait of Sirenia, so a stellar sea cow, a dugong, or a manatee. Let's tilt it forward to get a sense of the size. Oh man, this is not quite big enough to be a stellar sea cow, leaving a manatee and a dugong. If I take that upper jaw and flip it back right here, oh, we can see those big incisors right at the front. That means that this is dugong, aka a dugong. Let's freaking go! Skull identification speedrun. Ready,
Right?
set, go.
Okay. So that's a few of the types of materials or like types of things that other people are doing. So I think in the comment section you saw it was from the Michigan Museum, Natural History Museum, and this guy has so many, like his whole account or his whole feed is about really highlighting how beautiful museum samples can be without you actually having to go to a museum. This is something I hope at some point we start to churn out. If you know anyone or if you are that person, then please come and reach out to us and we could, help you out in that. Right, going back to where where's the share button again? Going back to the PowerPoint. Okay, so quite a lot of examples. Right, now I would need you to talk with me, and if we can't talk with me through just the microphone, let's try with getting a few polls in. So if you could please scan this QR code, or it will give you an access to Menti, and then I'll open that up now. Ooh, there's 9 people in the chat. Yes, it is now. Sorry, I wasn't checking the chat box because it was closed. But yes, there's some pretty nice accounts out there. So, but we don't have yet anything like that for Malaysia yet. So since we have now a digital archive, let's start getting you guys in. Okay, so you are. Oops, shoot, my mistake. I'm gonna go back to. I don't know where my Menti is. Okay, so you guys are all on the Menti, right? Okay.
Doctor, can we see the QR code again?
Uh-oh. Jap. Share screen again on the PowerPoint. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Everyone else in the participant list, okay too? I know there's 70 of you. Hope we can move towards the Menti screen pula. Stop. And then I can't just toggle from one to another. Right. So this is, if you are joining in late, you can just go to menti.com and then put in that code up there and you can still join in. So this is just to get everyone together, to get everyone to see if this thing is working. So there's 70 of you, but only 53 responses. So we're missing quite some numbers. Most are excited, most are happy. That's good. Some are feeling sleepy. I see some are feeling tired. Same here. I know I'm the one talking, but I'm also very sleepy and tired. What? Homogenized. Okay. That's good. Okay. So we're getting up to, how are we getting 75 responses when there are 70 participants? Interesting. Oh, some of you might be sharing the same screen. So yeah, you're feeling hungry, didn't get enough food. So excited, happy, great, cold. Cold because probably your room is automatic aircon tak boleh, centralized aircon. Right. So you get the idea of how this works. Let's move to the next slide, which is down here. Ooh, I forgot to adjust that thing. So can I just now ask you, what do you do? Are you a student? Even if you are a student, what kind of student are you? Are you a biologist? Are you working in IT? Are you a student of IT? Or maybe studying to you is just for you to get a degree, but what is your actual passion? Maybe it's a passion for fashion. Maybe it is journalism that you're very interested to get into. Maybe it's content creation. Um, maybe what else? You want to be an influencer, and that's fine. If you influence the right thing, it's great. If everyone is just doing influencer for the sake of selling apa weight loss pills, then that's when it's not great. So you can still be an influencer, but why not for the natural world? Why not for science? Right? Okay, so we've got a few taxonomies. You have some of your trying to finish the degree lah, apa, art. That's nice. We've got artists here. That's good. We want that. We've got marine biologists. This is the core of it. We have some people in tourism industry, even better. Technology. So we've got 29 people so far. Eating is your passion. That's good. There is always a way to twist anything into food. And I hope you find that today. Handsome. What you are is handsome. Good for you. See you now. Trying to finish degree. Okay, even for those that are just trying to finish your degree, what is your actual passion lah? Even if your degree is not it, there's always a way to link your passion to your knowledge or to your interests. So this is where we are starting to see new careers developing. You don't have to be the standard. Lepas graduate masuk kerja ni, then do this postgraduate thing. You don't have to be like everyone else. What is it that we can figure out for you is basically depending on the amount of knowledge you or on the amount of access you have to knowledge. Luck is what is it? What was the saying? People are saying luck is when preparation meets opportunity. So right now you are preparing. Right now you are trying to get as much knowledge as you are preparing. And when the opportunity comes, that is when your preparation could give you benefits. That is when people say, oh, this guy is lucky, that girl is lucky. It's actually preparation meets opportunity. So curatorial, that's very, very nice. This is, unless that's Kak Azwa or N-Team, I hope this is other curators also coming on board, which is amazing. And then we can start to get working. Okay, 39 responses. So we've lost half of them already. We had 73 just now, 76, and now we have 39. So what do you do? What if your job is just a job? What is your real passion? What do you do? What kind of content do you consume? Student, curator, okay. Art is passion, animation. Animation is amazing. For the most part, it's students. Okay, that's good to know. All right, we'll move on. So first, you've had 2 workshops earlier, and you've probably sat in for the whole seminar yesterday. Do you think MAQIVE is for you? Of course, we are hoping for a lot of yes, but for those that are no, or maybe this is where we try to figure it out together. Wow, okay. Nice, finally ada satu. 10, 11, 12. If it's not for you to create, is it something for you to consume? Is what I mean by is MAQIVE for you. We have till 3:30, right? Okay, we have time. Uh-oh, how many responses? Baru 15. We're losing people. 14, 15, 16. It's not that okay. I would like to know, for those that think it's still a maybe or a no idea yet. I would hopefully like for you to maybe type in the chat box too. Like, why do you think, what is it that you do, and why is it that you still haven't, or you still, it's pretty normal to feel like, yep, I don't know if this is it. I'm glad that to see there's no no's yet. It's definitely maybe. So the no ideas is basically who we want here. The definitely is like, okay, you know exactly what you want, you can contact us later on, but of course you are more than welcome to help us workshop ideas for those that have no ideas, as well as ideas for those that are feeling 50-50. Maybe we can complete that idea. It's still 20. What happened? What happened to the 76 study? Do we still need time to think? Is there like, what's this? Where is the like button? Okay. Would anyone like to share? Like, for those that are not sure, would you like to tell us why you are not sure, or tell me why you are not sure? And again, it's fine. An opinion is an opinion. Kalau malu, kalau segan pun tak apa. We can move on. But I'm hoping you can talk about it at least, so that we know how we would move forward later on. If let's say you are an artist maybe, and then you say like you have no idea how to use MAQIVE, that's something we could definitely work together on. Or if you are a marine biologist and you say maybe you have no idea how you want to use MAQIVE for your projects, for your research, that's also something we could definitely talk about. So I would like, oh, there's something in the chat. Because you are a food tech student. Okay. Yeah, I mean, if you want, does that mean you're saying you want to relate something in MAQIVE to food tech? Or MAQIVE is something completely different for you? You don't want to relate it with your studies, with your career? I mean, you could see how food evolved over time is one way. You can see the types of fish available in the repository, or even if it's on MAQIVE already, are they still the same kind that you would see today? Are the same species never changing over the last 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years? That's something you want to look into, maybe. Or are they just getting smaller and smaller now? Is that a factor of evolution? Is that a factor of just catching smaller fish, younger, or not yet fully developed yet? Right, okay, so we've got 19, 20, 21. 21. One person said no way. Definitely I want to hear that person's perspective. Oh, what a direct message. Okay, so someone said like the MAQIVE, from what they understand, is more towards preservation of biodiversity. Yes, for the most part, of course, that is the core, but that's not all it does, or that's not everything. Why do you want to preserve biodiversity? It's not just to research on it. Of course, research is good, but it doesn't necessarily have to just be research. Content creation is another new avenue for it. From what I've shared just now, from what even SOA, My Ocean Hope, is also starting to do. They are starting to venture off into a TikTok account and trying to get stories out that way, stories from the ocean that way, using MAQIVE. Are you a storyteller? Are you fine arts person, or are you a theatrical arts person? Where are you gonna get your stories from, if not from here? If you're a creative, looking at nature is the best source of inspiration, right? So the team in RRC has curated a whole website full of inspiration. That could be another perspective that you look at it. So it's a matter of understanding what your perspective is. It doesn't have to be just about the preservation. Of course, that's the core business, but what other avenues can we start to explore? 19, 20, 21. Okay. So there's always a room for creative thinking, for critical thinking and creative thinking. This is where I kind of want to engage you guys in. Okay, maybe we can move on to the next slide. I feel like the max for this slide is 21 people joining in. This is where I just want to know what's stopping you from actually using MAQIVE. Is it that the interface is quite boring, or maybe is the content like so unrelated to you? Like, for example, one person just now said, I'm from food tech, so this is about preservation. Eating has nothing to do with preservation, which is completely not true too. There are lionfish, for example, and that you eat them to help preservation of the environment, to help the population recover. So you eat a certain type of fish to help with the environment. That's one way to look at things. So what is stopping you? Tak ada. Nothing is really stopping you from using MAQIVE. Really? Or have we lost all 77? Don't worry, the Mentimeter is not about to be over soon. Don't fall out yet. Nobody, anyone want to add anything before we move on? Or still typing? This is where you could anonymously roast us in MAQIVE. If you want to, you can say nope. Oh, seen like MAQIVE, salah pula, salah brand. MAQIVE has a lot of benefits. Okay, that's good. Ada typo sikit, but that's good. One person. I am really hoping there's more. Oh, there's a comment. Oh no, that is the comment. I'm guessing that's all the response for this. What's stopping you? Okay. We're gonna move back to the Jamboard so that we can start to discuss in the next maybe 10-15 minutes. Mana itu share screen? Okay, so like I said, that was just the warm up. Don't worry. If you're tired, it's not too, it's normal. So we could go into the MAQIVE webpage again. I think just now Kak Azwa has shown us. Whoa. Okay, Kak Azwa has shown us what the MAQIVE page looks like, especially the stories. This is where I think is one of the most important things to develop. Sorry. Where is the marker screen? So if we go to MAQIVE.net, okay, this is it. So once we get onto the MAQIVE page, we could discover the collection. And then on the top here, we've got your specimens, your special collection. This is also something very interesting. Why is it special? We can highlight that at some point. The stories, right? So there's stories about, this is like one way for us to easily tell you there's something a bit more than just a picture. There's something a bit more than just a serial number and a name. There's always something more to a name, especially to a common name or to a scientific name. There's always a story behind each one of them, and this is a few that the team has managed to highlight. If you go through it, of course, you would start to discover bit by bit, but I want us to think of new ways to tell stories. I would like, not just for our team, but also for you guys to join us and maybe help out with the storytelling. Like I highlight before, as the biologists, we are pretty um, bad at telling stories. Sometimes we forget the best part of the story because we wanted to tell you what's most interesting to us. And sometimes what's interesting to one person is not necessarily the same for the other person. So this is an example of what has been done so far. And as you can see, some of them are still empty. And we would like maybe for you to help us out, or for you to give new ideas on how this could be better. And I would like to jump. I cannot move this. I cannot select my tab if this thing is up here. Okay. Right, so this is the same Jamboard that you had just now. Do you need me to, I can send you the link. So that is what we were working with Dr. Mel earlier. Where is it? Okay, for storytelling, the kind of workshop I would, maybe let's focus in on the first part so far. What types of medium can we use other than website, other than social media? So if everyone can just use the post-it, a yellow color post-it to mark the different types of medium you are most familiar with. How do you consume material? Is it on TV? Is it just social media? Is it also newspaper? Do you also go to art galleries? Can we just see what type of answers we can get from this group? I'll put the link in the chat box again. Oh, Dr. Mel has. Thank you, Dr. Mel. So there's more people coming in. Can I please get some answers in the Jamboard? Yep. You can click on the link in the chat box, which would take you here. If you use the yellow sticky note, you can click on the sticky note on the left. Use color coordinate. So the yellow would be on the types of medium you think MAQIVE should be on. So, oh, that one is target audience for the students. IG, okay. That's one way. IG Mail. Oh, not the mail. Museums and galleries. Okay. I'm thinking, what else? YouTube videos, right? Okay. So we can just Discord. How do you use Discord for as a medium? I understand it's a form of like communication, to send links, to send to organize, but do people actually consume things on Discord? VR and ebooks, yeah, definitely. Where's this now? Exhibition, interactive exhibition and booth. So from digital to something more interactive. VR is a very interesting one. We've seen a lot of environments transform into VR, whether it's outside or inside, indoors or outdoors. We'll set the line. Website, okay. YouTube, Discord, we'll group it all together for the medium. So this is what we are talking about. So there's Nat Geo. Nat Geo is a channel. Maybe you're saying it's on TV, or would you say this is a website? You can unmute yourself. Don't worry about it. Like this session, please, we encourage you to talk instead of just to on Zoom like this. A medium that's suitable for natural history products, documentary. That's something we could potentially move towards, but documentaries on apa nama dia? Specimens. If we find an interesting enough story, of course we can put it out in documentary. Do you know or have you seen, or do you have any idea of how like websites can be used as well, other than what we have shown you, other than what is shown with either Natural History Museum that we have invited over yesterday, like Signify, like the South African one, like the Japanese one? Is there a better way to use it? Is there gamification that needs to be involved? Ni high school student betul lah. Target audience. Journal like publication, or journal, yeah, journal like publication lah kan. Yep, that's for the for mostly for the scientists, I guess. So for the social scientists too, on documenting relationship with the samples over years. Okay, IG for sure. Journal, talk. Do you think talk is effective for a medium, for a specimen type? Because I think in my head, the way I think about it is specimens from Natural History Museum, they can get overwhelming. There's a lot. There's too much on a wall, for example. There's too many stories about each and every single one of them, and it's so the stories can be dry. The stories can be just factual, but normally we need people, for example, like Tim Pierce from the Carnegie Museum, who has a bit of flair, who has a bit of apa nama dia? Charm to him, and that's when it becomes slightly more interesting. But he, again, for him, he has to pick one sample at a time, and that's for like 2 minutes or so. So talks can be overwhelming because of the amount of things, but if we focus in on a few, I'm sure it will be very, very effective. Electronic advertisement. How can we make, what are we selling with the advertisement? Like, how can we make MAQIVE, or how can we help you use MAQIVE to make your advertisement better? What is it that you are selling? What do you want to tell us? The history of a bit of Malaysia, or the history of our natural history? So that's great that there's a lot of ideas on the types of medium that we can use. And of course, the target audience would be any age of students. I feel like at this point, in order to get the ocean we have, and into the ocean we want, from moving from the ocean we have to the ocean we want, we need to target everyone, right? So how do we put, okay, right now, what do you feel like? You can be brutally honest about natural history samples, specimens. I would honestly put, sometimes they're boring, because sometimes I don't see what I'm supposed to see, and I need someone to tell me what is it I'm seeing. So emotions, they can be boring. Sometimes I don't see it for myself, that the jaws of this matter, the teeth of that matter, it has to be sharp, it has to be that. Curiosity, that's a good one. Emotion, like glad that you found a platform, or glad that you what? So I'm gonna group. Oh, shoot. Dia tak boleh nak stack on top. Glad lagi interesting. Interesting. So this is centered on emotions, yeah. Excited because learning something new, right? So when you are on TikTok or when you are on Instagram, the reason why you stay on for like 2-3 hours is because you're just continuously learning something new, whether it is beneficial or not. That's besides the point. But you are definitely learning something. You are binge watching something. Sometimes you go through a loophole that you end up learning about 50 years ago when your population, and you're like, it doesn't really matter, but it's interesting to know. So this is the loophole that hopefully we will try to open up, or you can help us open up, to create content that drags the users or drags the viewers down this loophole of just facts after facts after facts after facts. Because when you think about it, if you go to a museum and you hear someone talk, chances are 10-15 minutes into it, you already just want to walk around and like not, and just like clear out. But if you sit on a platform, on a social media platform, on IG ke, Instagram ke, you can go for hours and someone could be telling you anything or everything, and you will still be invested. You will still be into it, because at some point you are still in charge of the knowledge that is being handed to you, versus being passive about the knowledge that is given to you. Sometimes depressed because thinking of our natural history, future in Malaysia. Well, there's always ways to fix it. So I mean, you shouldn't wallow. This is why we create multiple platforms too, to highlight it, so that the future can be better, and at least more people are aware, more people are getting that reach. 100% sure, if you walk around a mall and you ask what a specimen or a natural a repository is, they wouldn't know, they wouldn't care. But you have to make people care, and that's part of the emotion. Resolution, meaning, what does resolution, what do you mean by resolution as the emotion? Like, this is a resolution, this is a solution. Someone's opening up balik the medium. Again, you can please use your mic. Like, I would like this to be a two-way communication too. It feels lonely now that talking from on my own for like an hour, almost an hour. Actually, past an hour. We have like a few more minutes left. Okay. Siapa ni buka-buka? I wanted to organize it first so that we have a clean slate, but that's fine too. Can open up, but there's not enough space for the conflict and the characters. So what I wanted to put in center is the character could be you as the presenter, or it could be the specimens. So you could make them into the character, or it could be the character could be you. Conflict. So it's always nice to have drama in a story. So in storytelling, you have to identify your target audience first and foremost. How is it that you are going to channel your language, and then you have to pick your medium, whether it is Zoom ke apa ke, what you are familiar with, what do you think is most effective, what do you consume the best or the most. If it's something that gets you interested, it probably will get 10 other people interested. And that's where we want the movement to be. That's where we want things to be highlighted lah. Medium. That's where we want the ball to be rolling, right? So of course, make your specimens into the as the characters, or you can make yourself as the main character, live your life as the main character. That's what they always say. And then sprinkle in a bit of conflict to get people more invested. You've seen some of the videos I've shown you just now, how they introduce like a race part and how they try to make the audience the main character and more invested in the story, more on thinking capacity is activated. So it's not just like watching passively. They're also like, oh, what's that teeth for? That's for plants. What's that for? That's for meat. So we have to instill some bit of emotion in the stories. So it can't just be this sample was found 10 years ago. Where is the emotion? If you add on a bit more of like, oh, this sample was found 10 years ago on this boat that went on this voyage, and then this person lost the wife on that voyage, you know what I mean? Like there's always more to the story that could be told. Charles Darwin pun, he had his story before his whole, the reason why he's best known for is actually published. Excited to tell mom who love animals what makan. That's good. That's emotion, excitement. Because this could cheer someone up. That's how things are shared nowadays, or even the opposite, because there's a lot of doom and gloom too that is being shared, and if it gets the message across, it gets the message across. Right. So we can move on a bit to the next part. So storytelling, you have to have investments. So this is why I wanted to know who you are. For the most part, most of you are students who might be in the research or education bracket, but I would like you to also start to think about expanding it to outreach capacity. So how is it that you can get more people involved, even if you know 10% of the story, because nobody knows 100% of the story. Nobody. So even if you know 10%, how are you getting 9% or 8% to the next person? How are you paying it forward? How are you passing on so that someone can start climbing up to, so that someone can start to feed into this channel too? So someone could be walking behind your pathway too. So I know most of you are students, like I said, but some of you are not, and that's good. This is a great platform for you to do a bit of research, just to maybe even Google. This is where you see a sample, you Google what's the closest thing to it. Why is it that way? You are the one in charge of the questions in your head. Always be inquisitive, always be questioning, like, why does a dugong need a nose so big? Why does a seahorse need to be male in order for it to carry babies? Like, what is the advantage to that? That's a bit of the research. And since you don't know enough, you might as well start to collaborate. The hackathon was a good example. When you start to collaborate, like, more knowledge can come out. It's not just 1+1 = 2, it's 1+1 = 4, 5, 6. That is how collaboration sometimes, especially in different fields, are beneficial, especially when we're trying to figure out how are we going to save the world. It can't just be a team of marine biologists trying to save the world. It can't just be a team of food tech that's trying to save the world. It can't just be a team of computer scientists that is going to save the world. It has to be a mixture. It has to be collaborative. And right now, I'm trying to open up to see who am I going to, or who are we going to collaborate with? Who is out there right now following us on our workshop journey on day 1 of MAQIVE, and who's going to be there on year 1 of MAQIVE, and year 2 and year 5, and hopefully year 10 and so on. Like, where do you guys fit? It can't just be in one bracket. I promise you, everyone belongs in every single one of these brackets, whether it is a research, whether it is on education, whether it is on outreach. The reason why I've also put on education here is it depends on who we are going to target or who we are going to educate. Is it old people who don't know it yet? Is it young people who don't know it yet? Or is it young people who know some bits of it but requires additional input? So this is the collaborative opportunities, whether it is formal or not, education wise. If you are a school, or if you know of teachers, or if you are a parent, and you want your kids to learn it in school, you want your kids to have access, or his classmates and him or her can have access to these type of material, where normally someone would bring a whole school into a museum and they would just let them walk around and be one in wonder, and try to figure out what they like in a room full of trinkets and things. How does it change with a digital museum or digital platform, when there's so many to scroll, so many to cross into, so many websites to go into? How do you let children, or school children or high school children, roam around and try to find their own education, try to find their own content? So the people with curiosity to learn and update themselves. So what do you mean by this? The people with curiosity to learn. Oh, okay. So like self-sustaining, self-learning people. Those are definitely around, but there's not enough of them. There's a lot of people who are curious, but in very, very different types of material, different types of content. Sometimes beneficial, sometimes not. I mean, I don't mean the non-beneficial one to be like just a waste of space. Sometimes it's just non-applicable to solving a global issue. For example, right now, the mission is, if you remember back to my first slide, we do have a mission together. We are all collected here because we do have a mission. There is a reason why ocean literacy or specimens are a great tool in ocean literacy, and why people need to be literate in the ocean, about the ocean. And it is funny enough, to save the world, because of the way climate is, of the understanding of the way we are biting off more that we could chew. This is when the realization can start. Like, this is when we know where to draw the line, where to stop, or where to start moving in a different direction, where we start to evolve as a community. So that is the whole mission. In volunteering, for outreach, of course, there's one way of volunteering. If you sign up for a NGO volunteering program, or one whole week staying in this island to help turtles, of course, that is a very immersive experience for you, but how do you bring in other people? How do you bring in, is it just your friend that comes with you, or is it through your Instagram stories or your TikTok stories or whatnot, and you bring more people into that world? Or what is it? How would you collaborate? Are you going to bring another company to send in all their workers to experience it at least, or a bank, for example, which is what they've already done? So how is it that you start to think about your collaboration, to think about expanding yourself, and to expand the actual mission lah? Okay, you can always come back to this. You can always save this Jamboard, and you could always add on more, and you could use this to refer grants that could be everywhere. It could be applying to research, to education, to outreach, for sure. I've got like about 8 minutes left. And again, we didn't even cover the challenges. Why do I have 2 more? Okay, the challenges for each of them. So this is something I would like to also highlight. For outreach, the challenge would be generational differences. Sometimes certain people of certain generations are not so open to change, and whereas when you see very, very young people, if you tell them don't throw plastic in that bin, they won't. So some people are easier to mold, some people are easier to convince, and some generations are harder to convince. And there's always different ways of convincing them. You see Gen Z uprising from the social media. Like they have toppled Trump just from social media. They have done a lot of things on social media. And it is world changing, or world groundbreaking. So each generation will have their own specific outputs, their own specific language, their own specific point of interest that could gather the masses. So we need to try to cater to that, especially for outreach. Lack of time, like for me right now too, we're about to finish. Yeah, there's not enough time in the world to talk about every single one of the specimens that we have, let alone the specimens that we digitize. So how is it that we can convince the right people this is the right thing to do? How is it that education can be improved, whether it is a formal setting or not? How is it that research can be more accessible? So there's a few different types of challenges even for each of them. And I'm hoping at some point we figure it together. Big companies or rich people which harm environments don't care about conservation. Not necessarily. There are philanthropists. So this is also important to remember. We shouldn't be generalizing so much. Yes, the masses are like that, but there are rich people who donate entire buildings for research, not just to clear their taxes. Sometimes they literally just have extra real estate. And for example, there's one place in Scotland where some rich person just donated this mansion with a big aquarium, and a big space to have more aquariums for the research center in Oban. Not Oban. I think I can't remember where it is. But it's somewhere in Scotland lah. And people can do research there, and there's a display tank there. It acts like a community center. Just because this rich person was like, I'm not gonna use this building, but might as well use it for community and research, to have like a point to come together. So not all big companies and not all rich people are evil. Those that definitely are. And you can always tap into the good companies. You don't have to greenwash or blue wash in order for you to get your message across. It's important to have ethics lah, in some sense. The cost is a big challenge. Lack of funding is a massive challenge, and this is where lack of funding, this is where storytelling comes with getting funding. How is it that we can channel our stories to appeal to the funders so that they would fund us. Lack of time, whether it's because of climate change, we are at the breaking, not at the bottleneck. What's it called? At the point of no return, lah. Basically, it is most important that we act and not just be passive. Lack of competent staff. This is where education could come in, from turning the incompetence to competent. And then lack of support or interest among youngsters. That, to me, is quite rare. I think the youngsters are very interested. It's just that they have so much on hand. One day they're interested about dinosaurs, the next day they're interested about cars, the next day they're interested about farm animals, tomorrow they're interested about sustainable living, and then the day after they're interested about baking. So there's too many things, and it's either things can be connected and incorporated within each other, or you get washed away and you get diluted by the amount of content they have accessible to them. Some of us grew up with just books. Some of us just grew up with just TV. Now they are growing up with internet and everything. And what? Internet of things. And yeah, basically everything at their fingertips. So it's a different type of challenge. It's not a lack of interest. It's just a lack of engagement. The interest is there, but whether or not they can stay engaged before something else distracts them is the main challenge. So with 2 minutes left, I hope this, yeah, no, I think I need to wrap up. Okay, the what do you call that? Ooh, ooh. Wrap up on the PowerPoint. We were here. Right. So this is basically the Jamboard questions. For further, so this is the end, I think, of the workshop, of the seminar. I hope you guys start to understand what MAQIVE is for, what MAQIVE can do, and of course, it's never just stagnant. It is continuously growing. We are ensuring MAQIVE stays growing, even better, even further ahead. So this is why we hope we do get your feedback, whether it is from the survey that we are asking you, or just something that you would think of while you're using it, or if you see some other people use a similar thing and you feel like we could benefit from it, please, please, send that to us. We want MAQIVE to be the premier Malaysia archive, not just premier Malaysia aquatic archive, but we want our best to be our educational platform. Yeah, we want our best platform to be export to be our educational platform, especially on marine, because we have so much of it. So why not use that as the focal point? Please communicate to us through the RRC website or the email. And if you find that replies are a bit slow, you can immediately call us for an immediate our immediate attention. Or if you are a youngster, if you are a youth, you want to connect with SOA, please, you can find us on LinkedIn. You can find us now on TikTok, and of course our Instagram is the most active place that we post our projects, that you can come on board, you can join us. SOA is for everyone, not just for students. It should be for anyone and everyone who's interested in making sustainable ocean a reality. So we are the first hub in Malaysia. There's multiple hubs globally. That's why we got our funding. That is where we got it from the global hub. No, from not from the parent hub. And each country will try to basically use that funding for something that benefits not just their country but globally too. So I hope you guys have enjoyed it. If you have questions, please go ahead and ask. If you have suggestions and ideas, please contact us. And especially if you want to collaborate or you want to do something and move together with us in this future direction, then please come in contact. That's all from me. Thank you. Hello, hello. I think back to the studio. Participants in the studio. Participants pula. So please snapshot this or find us anywhere. How do I stop sharing? Ni.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Afiq, for that session just now. It's from what I see, it really makes me happy that we have a lot of participants from all kind of different kind of field, like our tourism student, food tech. Yeah, so I think everyone can benefit from this session. So
actually, though, before that, I would want to address that some who don't feel like there's a need for it. What do you call this? By all means, that again, it's again up to your opinion. We're not here to force you or anything, but to have an open mind to certain things, like with Sangeeta mentioning about her coming from food tech and probably she didn't quite see how the relevance was there. Perhaps we can paint a better picture in a sense that knowing that, we are so used to the palatable sort of, if we're going for, say, seafood per se, we're so used to the certain species presented at. What not if research is used to actually find out certain species which can be used as alternatives? The fact that we are also venturing into different forms of healthier protein, like say looking into like insects rather than going for cattle. People now are looking into having insects as form of proteins. So then why not we use certain alternatives that probably could be even better meat, better protein in that sense? Or in the fact of, say, certain species that are invasive.
Invasive species, we can clear out the ocean, our ocean of the invasive species.
Exactly. So have an open mind that don't always just follow the trend, but probably your answer to certain new possibilities or new innovation, food innovation products might actually just come from a repository. So again, the idea is to always open your mind, and I know somehow everybody will be able to benefit from our archival material. And even for those who are in tourism, there is edutourism, you see. So again, it's a whole lot more to talk about, but probably this is not the best time. RRC is very much available at ENOS, so you can meet up with our staff, you can ask further and inquire further. And I think we will take it from there. So we thank you very much, Dr. Afiq, once again for the very much interactive session. You really nailed this well. I probably couldn't have done it as well as you, but knowing how you're so much into social media and you're so much youthful and more engaging with the kiddos. So definitely, you were definitely the man for it. Thank you so much. Yeah, so I think without further ado, we will actually like to have a closing remark from the head of unit. So we will pass this again to Dr. Iswandi.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Melissa. And I also would like to extend my appreciation to Dr. Afiq and also Madam Azwarina for conducting the workshops since this morning. And I think based on the responses that given by all the participants, I think like Dr. Melissa said, it's something positive, and I'm surely think that should this MAQIVE is fully utilized not only by RRC in terms of digitizing our specimens for reasons that I mentioned in my first earlier talk, but also by the public and research scientific community. I think in terms of digitalization of national history collection will be another focus for all other repositories, not only in Malaysia, but also all over the world. Although there are some challenges, first of all, how the conventional scientific approach to utilize these modern technologies or modern approach in taxonomic work or systematic work. But bear in mind that we are not working in silo. So the community is not just people working in the scientific committee or those who have the exclusive rights working on the specimens, but also the public who somehow have the ability to determine the future and the direction of the repositories using their political will, using their voice as one big community. So I think this is the best way first to make sure the research in systematic and diversity will continue and flourish, but at the same time using this opportunity, this platform to gather supports from various walks of life to make sure that first we know what we have, we know how to conserve, what we should conserve, and also how we can benefit it from all the natural wonders that we have surrounding us, or maybe probably in front of us in the case of GMT, just neighboring the South China Sea. So I think I will not dwell into further about what you had just now, the 3 workshops, 3 sessions by my I think passionate team. I leave it to you. My take-home message is this is the future for repositories and also the future for diversity, research and interest in Malaysia. And I really hope that we can all together join this effort to make sure that we can do something in terms of the conservation of or appreciation of biodiversity in Malaysia. I think that's all for me, Melissa. Let them have time to digest all the information and also the knowledge that they have for the past since yesterday, and let's keep up the momentum.
Absolutely, I don't think so. Thank you again very much, Dr. Iswandi. I think we won't be pretty much at the end of the road, but not the end of digitalization. So please come and see us at RRC. And before we leave, let's have one photo session and you will have your post-survey questions, which you all have been waiting patiently. So well done. So let's have our photos taken, please.
Right. Let's come the core team of this event to come.
You can open your
stand
camera.
or sit next to us. And also, I invite all of you, those who are virtually connecting to us via Zoom platform, please kindly switch on your camera. We want to know who you are. Maybe we bump each other, maybe along the way, during conference or during class or during meeting.
Or intern.
Or while shopping in Tesco or Giant.
Tesco. Okay.
Or Maidin. So let's see, and then we can start collaborate and create the network. All right. Yeah. Come on, everyone.
This good.
Yeah. 2, 3.
Habis je. History.
Don't forget to answer the post survey form. We will give them in the comment box, the chat box.
I would like to reiterate the importance of filling in the pre and post questionnaire because we will use that data. Obviously, we will protect your sensitive information, but we use data to evaluate the effectiveness of having this kind of program and also the significance of creating MAQIVE for RRC. That will be show it to the management and also perhaps to the higher level of administrators. Thank you.
And also for e-certificate.
not to forget about the e-certificate as well. So yes, please take your time.
And the merit.
And for the student, the My Time Merit. Don't forget that. Yeah, it's very good, important for their hostel.
Okay, so and with that, we will still leave the post survey on for you guys to fill up. But with that, here comes the end of the road for our seminar and our workshop. Well done, team. Woo! And thank you to all the participants for joining in. Okay, we really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for being so participative, and hope to see you soon.
Thank you, Jeffrey.
Thank you so much, Fandi, for having us. Actually, me having you. We really appreciate your help and your support.